Hi, I'm Kent Lund. Welcome to Collectors. Today my guest is a treasure hunter, and he dives in the Detroit River and the St. Clair River, and we're going to see the kinds of artifacts he brings up from the deep, next on the Collectors. So here we are at Fred's collection, and Fred, we're so happy you allow us to see this wonderful grouping of things you found in the Great Lakes.
Geez, somebody gets to see when I find something and see what it, appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we all appreciate it. Everybody likes treasure, and,
Right.
and there's a lot of treasure here. We're going to see quite a bit. Fred, I want to start with, how did you ever get started? What gave you the inclination? I want to dive. I want to be a diver.
Well, I started off, excuse me, holding my breath. I lived in a gravel pit area.
And where was the gravel pit?
It was in Ryan and Auburn,
Utica, Michigan.
Utica, Michigan, yes. And I used to hold my breath and swim around. I could hold my breath for 2 minutes, and then
It's a good long time.
and then one of the lifeguards at this beach, Sunshine Beach it was called, the lifeguard come with a diving outfit he had delivered from California, U.S. divers.
And I think scuba diving sort of was started in
Oh,
California,
yeah.
like all the great fads.
Sure.
Scuba diving. And what does scuba diving stand for?
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Wow, it makes a great word, scuba. Okay.
And so the lifeguard had it, and he says, well, try it out. And I went out there and tried it out. Sure enough, I could stay down there and have a good time. And come to find out, a week later, somebody stole this out of the lifeguard shack. But I come to find out he was using our oxygen from the
Or your rescue oxygen.
rescue oxygen and filling up the tank. Well, that's a no-no, because after 30 feet, it'll poison you and kill you. And lucky the lake is only 20 foot deep,
Could have been a tragedy, but
Oh,
it didn't.
yes.
But that got you excited about diving.
Oh, yeah. And then after that, then I ended up borrowing the neighbor's. He come back from Ohio, and he and his wife had a diving outfit. And my dad, he says, hey, somebody lost their outboard out there in the river. You think you could get it? And I said, sure, I think so.
St. Clair River.
St. Clair River,
Okay.
yeah, the middle channel of the St. Clair River. And so the guy lost it out of Brown's
Marina.
marina there, and he went out. So my wife never dove in her life, and I dove twice. And I said, come on, we'll go get this. And he takes us out, and it's right off the drop-off. It's about 30 foot deep. She grabs my weight belt. She follows me down, and we get to the bottom, and there the outboard is. I picked that outboard up, brought it up, give it to him. The guy gave me $20 and give us lunch. I says, I'm going to be a commercial diver.
Yeah, now you can make some serious money.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. And Fred, here's one of the things that you found
Yes.
in your travels. And this is St. Clair River also?
Oh, yes, that's just laying on the bottom. I had just gone to a whistle blow 2 weeks before this, and I see this piece. I knew what a whistle looked like, and I seen a piece of pipe. This is all under in the muck, in the silt. And I see the pipe, and I feel it, and I go up here, and I feel like, I know what that is. That's a whistle. Boy, did I dig that out in a hurry,
And at this point, Fred, when you say you're feeling it, the site, how far can you see in the water in the St. Clair River?
Oh, sometimes you can see quite well, but
Okay.
this was down in the silt.
Buried in the mud.
Yeah, at that time I probably see 3-4 feet.
Okay, all right.
And so,
Do we know what ship this is from? Any idea?
let me see. No, yeah, the Bufania.
Okay, which was a Great Lakes cruise ship or
No, it was a work ship.
a work ship? Okay.
Yeah.
And these make what sounds?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say this is the bottom of, this is the bell of the whistle.
Okay.
And why they call it the bell is,
All right.
and so, and then we go to the whistle blow. I've taken these to the whistle blow.
And I'll bring that up right now. The whistle blow is in St. Clair,
Yeah,
mid to late September,
the last weekend is September.
last weekend of September, and they set up all kinds of
Hundreds of
whistles from the ships in the Great Lakes and give the story of the ship and then blow the whistle so you can hear the sound, bring the kids out.
Yeah.
Everybody'd get a kick out of
They
it.
even have little whistles that kids can blow it themselves
There
while
you
they're
go.
changing them.
So they get to learn.
They got 22 of these in a row, and they put them all up, and the time they go through, and tell the story, and they put new ones on.
I see.
Different ones.
I see.
And then so they got a little steam with 4 or 5 whistles with a cord, and the people can take their kids and let them blow, and they take their picture. And
Oh, it's fun. End of September every year
right.
in St. Clair. Well, this is one thing you found of the hundreds in this room. Let's take a look at some more.
Oh, okay.
Now we're going to see some actual artifacts that came from the bottom of the rivers, Detroit River or St. Clair River.
St. Clair River.
All right. What kind of things we've got here? We got clay pipes.
Right.
When I see those, I think they're hundreds of years old, and they're at least turn of the century.
Oh, yeah.
The last century.
Right.
That's right.
And yeah, the old sailors used to use them, and they were quite long. The stems were, and eventually they broke off, and they just toss them and get new ones.
And some of them are very intricate and different and carved. They're clay, though, correct?
Yeah, they're all clay.
And you're finding these in, let's say, the Detroit River.
They're
You
just
can
laying
see-
on the bottom.
And you can see them because
Yeah.
there's.
Before zebra mussels, you could see
Oh.
them easily. Now the zebra mussels stick to them, and it's hard to find them.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I thought the zebra mussels might clear the water, though,
It
too.
does. It clears the water, but
Okay.
it hides all the dishware and everything. You see a gob of zebra mussels, you have to wipe them off and see.
To see what they're stuck to.
Yeah.
Could be an artifact, yeah.
Right.
Now we've got, and some of the things which I find fascinating are the dishware from the cruise ships. There was cruise ships in the Great Lakes that took passengers all around the Great Lakes,
Yeah.
and people would drop dishes off the side or somehow.
Yeah. Got tired of taking it back or something.
Or the dishwasher said, I don't want to wash this group. I'm going to toss it in the water.
Yeah, there's
I'm
all
getting
the,
off my shift right now, so I don't got
the
to do it.
famous ones were Tajmo and Detroit and Cleveland line, which was Detroit 2,
So we got
Detroit 3.
we got a coffee cup, we got a cream or
Creamers, yeah.
creamer pitcher. These would be on the table in the
Yeah.
cruise line.
There's a gravy bowl, individual gravy bowl. Those little ones are butter pats. You have the little square
butter pats.
That's
yeah.
kind of a thing of the past.
I'm sure they were throwing those in the water trying to skip them. They look like they would skip really well. Here's a big block,
Block, yes.
which was used in a sailing ship or just
Yeah,
cargo.
Just to lift stuff up,
Okay.
make it easier. You can,
And this one's 1880 something. That's pretty old.
yeah.
In pretty good shape for being underwater all that time.
Yeah,
What-
you lose a part of it when you first bring it up. It peels off, but
Okay.
the rest of it stays quite well.
cold water does help, doesn't it? The
Oh, yeah.
colder the water, the better. Okay.
Fresh water helps.
Fresh water. Okay. We've got a bell here that would be a bell that to.
Was off a ship called J. Duvel,
Okay.
and every ship had to have a bell. In case of fog, they could ring it.
Ring it. Okay.
Yeah.
And we got a navigational light there, green. So that's starboard or is that port?
Boy,
I don't know. Okay. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to. Maybe someone from the audience will call in. I don't know the difference. I know red and green, but I don't know which is which.
I know if you see the green, you got the right of way if he's coming this way.
Okay.
I mean, this way is
That
green,
helps,
and that
okay.
way is.
And axe heads or hatchets, I think.
Oh, those are
Iron?
caulking irons.
Oh, caulking
when
irons.
they build all the ships sunk around here are mostly wood,
Okay.
and they would take the,
The
put caulking in there and drive it in.
drive, and those are the caulking irons
Those are caulking
to
irons.
hammer it
yeah.
in when they're doing repairs.
And yeah,
And of course we've got. Tell me the story on this gun. We've got 3 guns in this case. Tell me how you found handguns.
well, this handgun was. This wasn't my find. It was my friend. He was cutting the grass that was underwater for a long time, and the water went down. He was cutting it, and he found this, I think, a murder weapon. So, it's
got-
22
And it's got spent shells in it.
spent shells in it.
Someone threw it in the water. Yeah.
Next to the road, somebody went by.
How about up in the? Is that a Detroit River one?
That's a Detroit River Belle Isle 22 caliber Saturday night special. That's what I call that.
Okay.
And,
I think you mentioned that one was
bent in half and pounded. And I straightened.
trying to disguise it and then throw it in the water.
Yeah.
That's probably a sad story there.
And then this one is a look-alike. It's the German Luger, but it's not really a Luger. It's a casting of.
To look like one. So for
Yeah, to look
decoration.
alike, yeah.
I bet you were excited when you found that.
Oh yeah,
And then disappointed when you found out it was a fake.
weighed the same and all that. And I
Oh,
get a
yeah.
wire brush, see what it. Here it's pot metal of some sort.
Oh, okay. Gosh.
but it's
gotcha.
good for the showcase.
And an occasional propeller that comes off a boat.
Yeah. And these plates, like this plate's probably the oldest plate made, 1840s is Ward's steamship line.
1840s, and that was a Great Lakes steamship.
Yeah, out of Marine City is where the old
Okay.
guy lived. And he's
All
quite
right.
a famous Ward's steamers.
And I know you've found a whole lot of medicine bottles, and we're going to look at the next case in a minute and look at the medicine bottles. Now we're going to look at some bottles found at the bottom of the St. Clair River. What kind of bottles we got here, Fred?
Well, we got
Mostly medicine bottles.
well, there's quite a few medicine. We got cod liver with lime soda,
Oh, God, that sounds good.
Dr. Kimmler's swamp root, kidney, liver, and bladder cure.
All three, all in one bottle.
Yeah, and the Safe Cure from Rochester, New York, and Moxie Nerve Food.
Nerve food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nerve Food, and then Hemlin Wizard Oil, and
Perfect.
Dr. King's New Discovery.
And there was one that has worm something in it.
Oh yeah, Dr. Parker's Pleasant Worm Syrup.
Pleasant worm syrup. Boy, doesn't that sound
Oh,
appetizing?
Yeah, that must be the good stuff.
And I can see insulators from telegraph poles
you-
and
yeah, you
electrical
find those
poles.
and-
Now, I remember you mentioned these weights. The Indians, tell me about the weights these Indians use on their nets.
Yeah, these they take a rock and they carve it a little bit so they could tie their line to it, and they threw the in the river up there by the Blue Water Bridge.
Oh, Blue Water Bridge, okay.
And that's they find a lot of those there.
Because maybe the line would rot
Yeah.
or break.
They use them on nets too.
Get
They
caught,
made
yeah.
nets and threw them out there. So there's quite a few of them were
Okay.
found there. And one fellow, he's got hundreds of them, you know.
Okay.
And in fact, they took them and categorized them, put them in Lansing, named them all and photographed
By
them.
tribe, probably by tribe or something
Just-
like that,
just
or
because
style.
it was a big collection.
Now we got some gauges here, steam gauges and vacuum gauges off ships that were sunk that you dove
Yeah,
on.
usually they're burnt ships, you know.
They burnt to the ground or the water line and
Yeah.
sank.
I think that was a deal back in around the turn of the century to about 1910 because all the steel freighters were coming in. The wood freighters were getting kind of old, and so I think maybe there was a little
You're
more.
not suggesting there was some fraud on the river involved,
Yes, I
but
think
okay, okay. And we have some more serving dishes from some of the tour
Oh, yes, that's-
tour ships, tour lines.
Yeah, all the different. Everybody marked their dishware back in the old days, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really collectible stuff, you know.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've seen it at some of the.
C&B, which is Cleveland Buffalo Transit Company, and Pittsburgh Steel Company. They're most of them out of business now, you know, Packard, Mathers.
And I'll bet you have some Ford Motor Company from their ore ships. You probably have some of those somewhere.
Oh yes, I have boxes of dishes.
Boxes
but
of
I
dishes.
just put the interesting ones.
The one's your
for me.
favorite. Tell me about the shotgun, 12 gauge shotgun.
Oh, I found that up in the Sheboygan River, laying on the bottom, and it's an old Damascus barrel. It's I don't know, a turn of the century type of thing, you know.
And a Damascus barrel wasn't bored out of solid steel. It was round with
Round,
wire
round.
and then soldered or welded somehow. And they're not very safe anymore
Yeah,
for
you
a
wouldn't
modern
want to
age.
shoot these after
No.
they come out of water.
No, well, yet the stock is still there. I'm really surprised.
Well, it's kind of eaten up. That's all that's sticking when I see it. Was the very end of the stock. I seen that in the water, and I started feeling around. Sure, a lot of that stuff is underwater. You know, under the.
Now here we've got. They look. I can't tell what they were, but you tell me they're oilers off a
Grease,
ship.
yeah.
Grease
Grease fittings.
fittings off a ship.
Yeah, like these with the handles on, the little ones. They would be on the moving parts.
Sure.
And
An
a lot of-
axle, a shaft, something that needed to be lubricated.
Yeah, and the guy, I guess he was classified the oiler.
Yep.
Once a day, he'd give each one a twist, give it a little shot. And then there's other type that's liquid. They would pump the liquid in, you know.
Okay. Yeah. And trains had all these oilers and,
Oh, sure.
and all that moving parts. And there's a job that's obsolete today, right?
Right.
Now we got a lock here, several locks. In
Yeah.
one you said somebody got fishing.
Yeah, this one lock with a chain on it. he was fishing and he caught this, and he says, I'd give that to you if you'd tell me where it come from. And I said, well, bring it over. And I looked at it, and here it was a Detroit Edison out of up north here,
Port Huron.
Port Huron on their railroad.
Oh.
They had their own train system, and that lock was on the switches because they'd switch it and then lock it. Well, somebody must have took it and threw it in the river, and he just happened to catch that piece of chain with his fishing line.
We like to think that they broke into something and they threw that in the river because it was evidence. They didn't want to get caught. Let's hope they got caught.
Yeah.
We've got some wrenches or tools here that you found in the bottom. Now you're in the St. Clair River. You don't have a lot of visibility.
Well, some
Some-
days you do, but there are a lot of days you have, 1 foot.
And it has to do with the direction of the wind to a certain
Yeah,
extent,
when
right?
you got a north wind that riles up Lake Huron and blows it all down there. You get a south wind for quite a while. Sometimes you get 20-foot visibility. Them are the super days, but that don't happen often.
We're going to take a look eventually. We're going to take a look at some of the 300 rings that you've found.
Oh,
Now, I think you mentioned to me that there's a swimming beach near Port Huron, and you were you go there with a metal detector,
yeah. Underwater one.
and you say after a storm, what happens after a storm that makes it easier to find things?
Well, it moves the sand. I mean,
Okay.
up there it's clay bottom and maybe a foot of sand, but I've metal detected before and couldn't find a thing because a metal detector only goes 8 inches probably.
Okay.
We went there one summer and after winter storm, go out there and, we would find maybe 10, 15 rings a day
I'll be there.
and 150 coins a day.
150 coins. And
And
it was a swimming area during World War II.
yeah, I
beach.
made
So some of the coins are,
a lot of 1942s.
yeah,
and stuff
because the
like that.
servicemen were there swimming, and
Yeah, one of the guys found, I think I got medals from, like good conduct medals
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff like that.
okay. All right, well, I want to take, I know you have a light off one of the lighthouses here in Lake St. Clair.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that. Now, part of diving, the Great Lakes are full of lighthouses, and Fred has actually been able to dive and find an old light from a lighthouse. Fred, how did you ever find this one?
Well, this is out in the middle of Lake St. Clair called the Crib Light. And the freighters come out of Detroit and they turn at the Crib Light to go to Harson's Island.
That gives them a place to point to.
And there's usually a lot of fishermen there all the time. So one day I says, I think I collect anchors, little anchors, boat anchor.
His
I
front
says-
yard has got a dozen huge anchors,
So-
1800s.
So anyway, I went diving there and I'm picking up anchors and I run across this thing. Well, it's all crushed. But what they did is apparently they put a plastic solar light rather than this gas operated light.
Modernized.
They modernized it and they just unbolted it and pushed it over and hit the cement below. And so oh boy, this is a keeper.
Yeah, I'll say.
So
How do you lift something like this out of the water?
Airbags.
Tell us how an airbag works.
Well, I make a lot of my own. I take a feed sack
Okay.
and put a garbage bag in that and then staple it all around with a rope. And that'll pick 160 pounds for one of them.
You take your mouthpiece and put air in it, and it'll lift
165 pounds for one. Well, I carry about 5 or 6. 'Cause
Okay.
we'll be diving. Maybe we'll see an outboard motor. Well, we don't come up.
Yeah.
You waste all your air, so shoot it up, and the guy in the boat throws it in the boat. We find anchors and
Great idea.
You know.
Little ingenuity there.
Yeah.
A bag, like a burlap bag, that keeps the plastic bag all together, and you fill it with air underwater and let it go and
Yeah.
tie it to the thing.
I
Okay.
got ropes so it's secured to it, so that you tie what you're gonna pick up.
Now I see here you got an anchor. This is quite a large anchor, but it's for a passenger ship, a yacht.
a yacht. It folds up,
Okay.
and
And
it's
that's
about a 50
St. Clair
pounder,
River.
huh? Yeah, St. Clair River. And I found that on a motor yacht, a 48 foot, I measured it. Had twin diesel engines and had this anchor in the bilge, which the rest of the boat burnt.
Okay. So
portholes
typically they
even
burn
melted.
to the water line. That
sink.
puts the fire out, but then it sinks,
Yeah.
right? Well, that's something. And then how old was the boat, do you think?
1924.
1924 yacht.
The motors had July the 24th, 1924, or something like.
Some dates on them, I'll be darned. And this was the same thing. You'd use bags to bring this up from the bottom.
Yeah.
And this light was somewhere on this map? Or was it on this map here?
No, this is the
This
wreck.
light. That's the wreck, okay.
Yeah, it's marked the wreck there.
Okay.
This is the north channel, the south channel, and this is the bout around, they call it. And there's 2 shipwrecks right there. And that's
That's the area. That's
the area. Yeah.
dangerous area, okay. And another whistle, one of your whistles. I know you like the whistles, and you found those. Where'd you find that one?
That's where this is.
Oh, that's for that, okay.
That's where this is.
Beautiful whistle. I bet that is loud, too.
Yeah, I'm taking this Saturday.
Are you taking it to the whistle blow?
Yeah,
In St. Clair at the end of September.
right.
All right, let's look at some jewelry and rings. This is fascinating. So now when you're really a treasure hunter, you find actual treasure. And Fred, you found a lot.
Yes.
300 rings or so?
Yeah, 330 that I have.
Oh, 330, okay, all right.
Plus the ones I find for people,
Oh,
which
you-
is probably another 50.
So in other words, someone might call you and say, I dropped a ring off the side of the boat and about here somewhere. Is that really true?
Yeah. And a lot of times the guy's fishing. He says, I threw my line out, my ring come off. And so this guy gave me $400 for that ring.
He figured his wife was going to be pretty upset, I think.
Yeah,
So he said it's
it
worth
was
$400, right?
It was a pretty nice looking ring.
So you've got them in silver and you've got them in gold. We've
Yep.
got high school rings, lots
Yeah,
of
there's-
wedding bands.
Lots of gold here, and a variety of school rings. And well, this one silver ring, I think
Yeah.
this has got 2 girls standing there. It looked like it was a coin or something. And one guy come in and looked at the rings. He says, I got one just like that from my dad. And I says, well, what is it? He says, after the Second World War, Detroit gave all the veterans a ring like that.
Like a commemorative thing
Yeah.
or a thank you type
Yeah.
thing.
So I got to find out what that is, you know.
And where do you find the rings? Mostly at beaches,
Yeah,
at swimming beaches.
like in Lake St. Clair and Muscatine Bay.
Okay.
There'd be 1,000 boats there on some days. And they all out there picnicking. And
Jobby Nooner, whatever that.
Oh, yeah, I go there, too.
Oh, I was going to say you probably find a lot of crazy things there, at Jobby Nooner.
But now the people are cheap. They don't wear gold anymore.
Oh, well, the ones that go to Jobby Nooner are cheap. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
But yeah, like I said, I went up north, up in the
Oh,
place up in Port Huron there, and I hunted there before, out in the water, 8 foot deep, with my scuba equipment. I hardly found anything, but one winter it stormed quite a bit and blew the sand, which is that thick, down to about that thick, and not a metal detector could get it. We'd find 10, 15 rings every time we went out, and 150 coins, a lot of Second World War coins, because it was, you know, military was.
we're swimming
stationed
there
up
on their time off, yeah.
Yeah.
And lots of, I see necklaces and bracelets.
Oh yeah, necklace, a lot of religious medals you find. And
Can you think of a story of someone calling to find a ring where you didn't find it or couldn't find it? It doesn't,
I find probably 98% of them,
okay.
you know. Sometimes they lose it in a place where there's a lot of junk. I go
Oh.
down there and it takes me an hour maybe, because I got to pick every piece of metal out. Because that metal detector I had at that time,
Couldn't distinguish between a tin can
Yeah.
or a fork?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
the better ones I got, you can tune it out, you know.
Do you ever sell your rings? Have you ever sell it? You just like to keep them when you find
Yeah,
them?
I got something to brag about.
Yeah, and plenty to brag about, I would say.
The girls like getting in here.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
My wife's wearing a couple of these rings, but
I'll bet, yeah. We'll show close-ups of your rings, and if someone wants to call the station and say that's mine and they can prove it,
Right.
we'll sell it to them. We won't give them back to them, we'll sell it to them.
here's one ring. It's Oriental, nice little
Asian design.
with a nude girl like this.
Oh, a nude girl, uh-oh.
So I
And I-
always want to know what that says on there.
Well, we'll find somebody who's Asian who can translate that for us. And I know I saw a couple of the Playboy symbols, Playboy rings, right?
Oh yeah.
So somebody got upset that and threw it in the water.
Yep. And here's the Army ring. What is it? The big red one or something?
Oh, okay.
That's a ring that all the soldiers had.
If they were in that particular unit or something. Okay.
And then you have the silver rings. That's mostly inexpensive, like
Yeah.
the eyeball ring and a rabbit ring. And how about Detroit Zoo and the
Oh, okay. Almost
Pablo Island.
souvenir rings. Yeah.
yeah, Pablo Island.
I'll be darned.
This ring's from Russia. Had a skull and hammer and crossbone somewhere on
Oh,
it.
okay. Is there a Masonic ring here? I wonder.
Masonic.
32nd. That was a 32nd degree, I think. My dad had one of those. That's why I just wondered. We lost it in Lake St. Clair.
Yep, right here it is.
Oh, there it is. All right, cool. We'll take a look at one more thing. Okay, now we're going to look at, the Great Lakes were full of sailing ships. And here's 3 things off a sailing ship from 1875.
1874 it was built.
1874 was built, and this came from the St. Clair River or Detroit
Yeah,
River?
no,
St.
right
Clair
there,
River.
right
There was a
here.
lot of
Carson.
traffic on the St. Clair River and the Detroit River in those days. What are these? They hold up the mast,
The mast, yes. These are dead eyes,
called dead eyes. Okay.
and this is what they call a chain plate that's screwed to the side of the ship. And,
And then it would go up in a triangulation
Right.
to keep.
a dead eye, these are basically a turnbuckle.
Okay.
Nowadays they have a thing you turn, but
Yes.
there they pull them down and tighten the sails that way.
Tighten the
or
sails?
mast.
So I'm sure the rope is newer.
I
Okay.
got that out of an old barn.
Off an old barn. So we got some barn rope here, but what are these made of? And how would they stay so preserved for how long was they down there?
Well, they were down a very long time,
Okay.
but they're made out of ligma vita, which is the strongest wood
I've heard
known
of
to
it.
man. In other words, they make blocks,
I think
dead eyes out. They made bearings for
wagons,
steamboats.
and they made wagons. Wagon wheel hubs were lignum
Yep.
vita. I'll be darned. So they just stayed preserved because tell me about the water. The water is very cold, pretty much. Lake
Yeah.
Superior, of course, is very cold. That helps. There's not much bugs that can eat.
No, there's nothing that eats the wood. Like in
Like in-
Florida, you find something that's all eaten up.
And you dive in Florida too when you go down there.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a ship's wheel in the other room that I found. It was only down for 2 years, and it was already full of bugs and
Okay.
and barnacles already.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, did you ever meet Fisher? Mel Fisher?
Yeah, I used to dive with Mel Fisher.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
Before or after he became a multimillionaire?
before. In fact, he wanted us as divers to go with him.
Oh, he was
I found stuff in
You
California with
could have
him.
been part of that find, right?
Yeah, it took 17 years. I don't think I'd
Oh yeah.
last that long.
Yeah, that was a long time to be looking, wasn't it? I'll
Yeah.
be darned.
I knew his kids. They were about this big, and
Yeah. Mel Fisher.
we used to go to all over, and then he had this side scan sonar magnetometer, I guess it was. And he'd pull that up and down between the channels, between the islands, and he got this good hit. We went down and dive on it, and it's full anchors, big 75-pound anchors, because it's right in the middle of the fishing area. And so he says, okay, who wants to go treasure hunting? Or, in other words, you got the experience, you got a free tank of air, and you got a boat ride. That's what you got from him.
That's what you got from him? Okay.
But we send up many anchors.
Oh my God. Thanks, Fred. We've enjoyed being here and seeing all your found treasures. If you ever want to talk about your collection or you know somebody who has a collection, I really want to talk to them. So contact me at bctv, thecollectors@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.